I had spent the last 5 years on a lovely project recreating the lost episodes of the radio show Hancock's Half Hour. We did 22 of them. So I really enjoyed that process of bringing things to life that you can't hear or see anymore. We did one on the television. So when the opportunity to be involved in Dad's Army came up, I obviously leapt at it. I was quite surprised because I think people knew that I had a Tony Hancock in me. I was surprised that anybody thought I had a Captain Mainwaring in me. But after the initial shock of that, I thought it would be really wonderful to try to pay sort of homage to his performance and that wonderful character that people love so much. The project the Dad's Army Lost Episodes is simply that this show is repeated all the time, and there are 3 episodes that were written, made, and transmitted, and then wiped with the BBC's 1960s reuse of tape policy. So the idea was that, well, wouldn't it be wonderful if we tried to respectfully and in great detail and lovingly recreate those episodes, so people who had heard about them over the years might actually get a chance to see what it might have been like to see those episodes. And in a way, it's sort of a completion of the whole Dad's Army journey. I mean, they're just waiting there to be done, and I'm really pleased they came at the time when I can play Captain Mainwaring. I think Croft and Perry's scripts still work so well, just in the way that Ray Galton and Alan Simpson's scripts for Hancock work so well, is that almost uniquely for that period of television, they don't contain a lot of thoughts and attitudes that really are unpalatable in today's world, because they're written by men who gently take the mickey out of all sorts of people, but they do it with love and humor. And you can imagine there are many TV shows of the early 70s that just would be appalling to try to remount today with their sort of attitudes towards race and sexism and things like that. And they simply don't, Croft and Perry don't have them. There's nothing we need to change in these scripts to in any way sort of shoehorn them in for a modern audience. I don't remember seeing Dad's Army for the first time because Dad's Army was always in my life. I imagine that we sat down when I was, 1968, when I was 12 years old. I would imagine this new series came on and we were instantly hooked, and I would imagine that we watched every episode when it was transmitted at the time. Of course, since then, I mean, I don't think there's ever been a time when Dad's Army hasn't been available to watch in some form or another. It's pretty constant airing, which is a great tribute to both the writers and the performers, I think. Well, my approach to the character of Mainwaring was I was going to try to be as much like Mainwaring as possible. It's a real hybrid thing to do, to recreate somebody else's performance. The rule I have is that I'd never do anything that you could see the original person doing, because that would seem absolutely pointless. What the temptation is that you do something singular. You just remember that he spoke like that, or in Hancock's case that he spoke like that, and you do that one thing. But the important thing is, when you find out you are going to recreate someone's performance, is to watch as much of them as possible, and you find out all the tropes they have, you know, all of the voices they use, all of the mannerisms they have. And so that was, for me, a long time of immersing myself in him and watching as many episodes as possible and reading about the show and their attitudes to the show. And the balance I want to get is to be giving a performance of me reacting to the script and responding to the script and working with the other actors, but it having a real essence of what the man was. So it's just slightly shy of a slavish impression. Because I think when people do impressions of people, often it's very impressive, but it's not very funny. So you have to have the freedom to still create and to be comically inventive yourself. I think in Arthur Lowe's case, Croft and Perry saw him and instantly started writing part of him into the part. I mean, I understand. I mean, everyone loved him, but they all said that he had a pompous side, and he could be a little aloof, and he was a northern man who spoke very posh. I mean, he had himself adopted a sort of a patrician character that Croft Perry mined, I think. Working with the rest of the cast is terrible because they're all awful. They're just absolutely, they just don't work, and they're lazy. No, it's been wonderful. We sort of all bonded instantly because I think we all knew that we'd been given this huge responsibility that we had to take seriously, and just to see each of the cast members bring those roles to life was a joy during the first week, and it remains a joy today. And I think that it's a wonderful, loving recreation of the whole platoon. Well, I couldn't wait for that. I was desperate to get all of the kit on, to get the hair and get the hair colored and the moustache and finding my glasses and, getting the uniform and putting a little bit of padding on. And I actually had a bit of a lump in my throat by the time we all got it together and I saw the rest of the platoon, and we walked out onto this beautifully recreated set. And a lot of the crew were sort of, we're welling up a little bit, saying it's like we're in a time machine. It's like we've gone back to the original recordings of it. The thing that really got me, the thing that I loved most, was when we started to do our technical in the afternoon. They showed us the titles at the beginning and the end, which are brilliant. And the one that got me is when it finished and it says, "You have been watching," and then we all came up marching through the forest, and that really got to me. I was so moved by that. Go easy on us, is what I would say. But no, I would say, we have decided as a group of performers to really enjoy plugging this little gap in the repertoire, and I think they should sit back and really enjoy it, because we've made it with love, and hopefully you can watch it with love. The plot of Under Fire is it's terrific. It's the most sort of slapstick vaudeville of the 3 episodes. It's basically Mainwaring and Wilson turn up, both having had rough night's sleep. There's been a lot of air raids. The Germans are raining down fire bombs on London, and they think they're going to come to the south coast this night. So they're preparing their fire drill. At the same time, Godfrey and Frazer come back from their night guarding, and night guarding, is that a word? And they see that there's a light flashing somewhere in town, and they go there to find out what's going on in case it's a fifth columnist signaling to bring the aircraft over. And they find what appears to be a German man. He's actually British, but he's of German descent, and so they're very suspicious of him, and they arrest him and bring him in. And while he's in their custody, a firebomb lands in the church, and the rest of the episode follows them trying to use their stirrup pump, their buckets of water, and their fire extinguishers to try to put this fire out, which they signally fail to do. It's really funny, and as I say, really slapstick, and probably one of the most enjoyable ones that we've done. Well, obviously, we were all a bit nervous about doing the first one because we didn't really know what it would be like and how it would be, how the audience would respond to it. But the audience was so warm and so enjoyed being there that we rapidly forgot all our nerves and just had a terrific night, and it just went like that. It was. I couldn't believe when they said it was 10 o'clock and we'd completed the episode, because it was so enjoyable. And I think for the audience too.